Those that have watched my content before know that I have been threatening to upgrade this 200p here, and it's just been sitting there on a shelf, all neglected, feeling sorry for itself for too long now. The whole thing needs working on. The tube, the focuser, the spider, even the mirror needs attention. And I believe the first step shouldn't be to mess with the tube or anything like that. It should be to replace the focuser. So this is the focuser that I bought off the used market a while back. It's by Omegon. It's a 2-inch Crayford hybrid. It's a little bit of a rare one on this side. You can see there's not much travel on this at all. That it has the rack and pinion on it, as well as the regular Crayford roller bearings. It's buttery smooth. It's going to be a fantastic upgrade to this. It has the 10:1 dual speed focuser, so time to fit it. Unfortunately, it's not a straightforward straight swap because the holes do not match up, so we've got to get this sorted one way or the other. So before I even remove this focuser, and this is the cheapest of the cheap focusers, I shall try and move this round so you can see from another angle. That's the pulley wheel for the motorized focuser. I've got it as good as I can get it. I've really taken the slack out of it, but as a stock focuser it was awful. But I can even see now, as I pull up and pull down, the slight gap here changes. So inward and outward focus is going to change the direction it's looking, and one of the many reasons I've never been able to collimate this telescope very well. So the very basic 2-inch, actually it's a 2¼ inch focuser. It's really awkward. Yeah, really basic. One of the earliest the Skywatcher put on their mount on their scopes. They quickly upgraded and put the Crayford focusers on instead. But this isn't Skywatcher. This is an Atlas Explorer, which nobody's ever heard of. It's a company that sold out of Lidl in about the mid-2000s. This was first purchased 2006, 2007 era, that sort of mark. And that makes it about 18, 19 years old now. So it's about time it had some attention. It was made in the Skywatcher factory. It's called Sinter Technologies, and they make optics for many manufacturers. Skywatcher is their own in-house brand. So it's the same thing as a Skywatcher in different paint, as the very earliest 200p they made. So how do we go about this? I'll have to remove this, obviously, to be able to line up the other focuser and mark out where the holes should be. It's going to be a bit of a precision job. I may put the scope on the table to do this, but beforehand I was thinking I need to make sure that this tube is exactly as it should be at this end, nice and round. If you have this sort of spider, they're brilliant in that they're very thin spider vanes and they don't block much light, but because they're adjustable, this can be pulled into an oval shape and therefore put your secondary mirror off center, and we don't want that. This front piece of plastic here is going to hold the tube pretty circular, but I want to make sure that this isn't working against me. So that's going to be my first step before I even look at the focuser. I'm taking this plastic ring off the front so as to get better access to that spider, and some may say I'm going a little overboard with this, but I don't think you can be careful enough setting up a focuser. I've seen one or two videos. There's not much in the way of videos on YouTube showing how to fit one of these focusers. Some are even after the fact. But there's no instructions come with a used focuser, so I'm kind of making it up as I go along. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that now. It's about 98.8 millimeters on each of these, so that's circular. Replacing this will only help retain that. So yes, I will be replacing this, but first of all, let me just explain why I've done this. What I want to do once I remove this focuser is measure around the tube exactly the halfway point and mark it off here, and exactly how far back the center of this focuser should be in the tube, and mark it in the tube. So when we put the new one on, it should point exactly at that little mark you make. So I'm going to remove the focuser. Okay then, so it should just be 4 screws, 2 of which are beneath the focus knobs. In fact, let's remove them both together by removing the assembly. Note I've got the scope pointing down now. I don't want anything falling mirror bound. Never work on your scope where there's a chance of anything rolling down to the mirror. A tiny little screw like that can damage the coating on it. It's like, I don't even know if it's microns thick. There it goes. So this is a tensioning plate and spring with its 4 screws. I shall put those safe. That's the spring, and that's the focus wheel, worm wheel thing. This is held by nothing now, so I can slide the focus tube out. And in order to remove this, I'm going to hold on to the nuts the other side so they don't go rattling around inside and get lost. Doesn't seem like there's a washer. Did you think this was going to be a quick video? No, this is going to be an in-depth one. Okay, that's 3 and 4. By the way, I was telling you to be careful with these and the primary mirror there. You've got to be just as careful with the secondary. That's sitting just here, and it has the same aluminized coating, so no dropping stuff on it. Ah, good riddance. Oh, look at the shape on this. That's bumpy. Okay, my next step would be to start making some measurements around here and marking off a center. But I want this mirror out of the way. So I could remove the central bolt and take it out. I'm just going to take out the whole spider, because what I showed you with making sure this was central to get this nice and circular doesn't apply for me, and I'll show you why in a moment. That's if you've got these adjustable spiders, as most will have. So let me just get rid of it, and I have a replacement spider that is going to retain its circular shape at all times. Keep a hold on it before you remove the last one. And remove the secondary. I have coated the sides of the secondary and the back of it in matte black blackboard paint to reduce any internal reflections, because they don't do that on the sides in the factory. In fact, what I'm doing here to this overall, the full upgrade is something that you pay a lot of money for in a Newtonian. If you buy an off-the-shelf Newtonian for reasonable money, and you want to upgrade it to an astrograph, as in astrophotography spec, then you're going to expect to do these things. None of them come like it unless you pay a lot of money. Here's one of these upgrades. I'm not actually fitting this, I'm just putting it in for now. This is a CNC machined spider for the secondary mirror. Very slightly thicker vanes, but that doesn't matter because they're solid. And look, you can see that doesn't want to be circular, so I'm having to pull it out, and that's a nice tight fit in there. I only want to just push it into place just to make sure it's circular. That is such a nice tight fit. I'm not going to bother screwing it in for now. This isn't a fitting. I'll do that as a separate video with the mirror and all. Talking of mirror, I got to put that somewhere safe. A plastic bag, I think. I don't have a box big enough. Yeah, they line up. Okay. Now, it may appear that I have wasted my time there because I don't have a square handy. But that line looks to be exactly in line with these holes. So that is handy. But I was not going to take that for granted. I want this focuser to be worth the money and perfect. So, next thing is I need to get some new holes drilled. Oh, and they're inside the old holes. And the hole, this hole is much wider than this. So I can see from left to right where the center is because of these holes poking out around the edges, which is pretty damn handy. I can get that. But as for this way, it's a bit more difficult. This is going to prove quite difficult anyway. I don't know if you've got a good angle on why, but this is bumpy as hell. I'm going to need to beat this back into shape, because the nuts from underneath have been pulled up into bumps into the old focuser, and I want to try and get this back as good as possible. Now this could take me some time. I've put it up on the bench now because this is going to take some panel beating, which I have no experience in whatsoever. This is the best I could find. I was hoping for a bigger piece of metal, something solid, basically to hold up inside and hammer against. I'm not going to video this. I'll do some sort of time lapse. It could take a little while just to flatten all this out and to be able to screw down to it nicely. This is the best I could find. I was hoping for a bigger piece of metal, something solid, basically to hold up inside and hammer against. Well, I got a little carried away there, and I almost repaired all of my dents. I can still see them, but they're much better than before, and that's not going to impair my focuser fit now. I think I'm going to have to take this off so as to get to these holes and line it all up. I'll take the focuser apart. Now, I can see because of this oversized hole, the same thing on the other side. We can see here the old bolts and the gap of the hole on both sides. And therefore, I think I'm going to be able to line this up by eye, tape it into position, and then mark the holes. I appear to have it taped up in the correct position. Same gap left and right, same gap front and back. And I've made sure that these match here as well. So it's square on. I can now mark those holes, ready to drill. So it turns out I couldn't really work out how to mark it, other than putting something like a dart in there and scratching a little cross. I didn't fancy that because I'd only move this. It's not the most stable. Dab of white paint, I thought, down the holes, but they're fairly deep. I can't get a pen down there, so I've come up with another plan. What I'm going to do is use these little bits of wood as a clamp, the screw going down through it. I've pre-drilled this, and then I should be able to scratch a nice mark into it or just drill straight. This is going to move the focuser, but I'm going to move it back into position once it's down. Come on. Get rid of this tape now, because it was kind of in the way as well. So the tape wasn't the best idea. Like I said at the start, I'm making it up as I go. I'm not following any instructions. Okay, I'm happy there if that will stay put for me. I'm going to start with a small, in fact I'm going to start with a brand spanking new drill bit. That's the best way. I'm going to start with just a 3mm. That's central. Okay, I've got all four marked nice and centrally here, so I'm going to undo this, get rid of the focuser out of the way, and continue drilling those holes. Put something solid behind it, and here I go, first hole. Next one. It's a bit of a long mark that, but I think I see where the centre is. I'll tell you what, I'll do this one first, and then I can double check with a measure. Centre to centre across that curve, 90.06. I'm guessing it should be 90. Should be at the top of that mark. I'm going to do it there because that's got to be 90, hasn't it? Oh, stop it. Let's just check that now. Yeah, 91 centre to centre. Oh, so is that now. Okay, right. Now I just need to make those 5mm holes. I always find it handier drilling a small hole first as a pilot hole. Yeah, easier. I can't explain it. It just does make life easier. It goes through easier and quicker. Less chance of it skipping and sliding about. And you might be able to see there, it keeps this 5-bit nice and central to that as well. Okay, now bits of swarf and stuff. Obviously, I've just vacuumed that out, but it is going to have a proper clean before any objects go back into it. So be water and all, you know. Because I've got to do this tube up, I've just taken some dents out, but I need to wrap it and maybe see about filling some of these holes I'll not need again. So we're now looking at actually fitting that focuser. We have the drilled holes. So I was thinking of 3D printing something because this is going to be all light leaks. I mean, look at the side of that. Yeah, it's not made with any curvature in mind because it can be fitted to multiple scopes. So to 3D print something would be a good solution, but it's not for everybody. And I remembered that I had saved some packing foam. This wasn't the piece I was thinking about. This is from a graphics card box that I was keeping, but I couldn't find the stuff I was looking for, so this will have to do. What I plan to do here is basically cut out enough to give a little bit of an overlap around this and cut down to sink this into it. Cut the hole out the middle, obviously, and that should then block all light as it's clamped down. So I've got to mark this up and cut it. It would seem that my plan with this piece of foam is a bit over ambitious because, well, it's just too thick. This was drilled to sit flush. Now you can see there's not the space for all this foam in there. So what I'm going to do is trim this right back to basics, and I'm going to take the whole bottom off it. So I've gone inside and I've done a better job of this. And by the way, this is, I've already taken it apart. I've just put it there for the shot. So let's take it apart again. So what I've done here is, if you can see this, I've cut some of that black foam roughly to shape and stuck it in that gap on both sides with double-sided tape. I then cut this shape out of crafting foam, which is just like about 1 millimeter or 2 thick black crafting foam, and I've gone a little way around the edges all the way around. So we're definitely now going to cover the holes. So when I line that up there, it will need sticking down when it's finally fitted. But now all those light leaks will be nicely blocked. And that's the best way I found to do this if you have a larger hole, as I have. Stop it. In your case, you may be looking at fitting a 2-inch focuser to a 1.25-inch hole, in which case you're going to have to cut the hole bigger yourself, as well as marking the new screw holes. So I'll try and show you on screen now. A chap came up with a great idea of using a hole saw, but with 2 different sizes. One slots straight into the 1.25-inch hole. It's just slightly too small, so we put tape around it until it's a snug fit as it turns round. And then the other hole saw is wider, so the middle one will guide that larger one as he drills into it. So I can now go ahead and fit that. I've already been through a lot of different size screws and worked out what I needed, so I've got those ready. I have in place my CNC machine spider, and this is literally just to hold this tube circular. But once that focuser is in, I need to make sure that it's pointing exactly where it needs to be. Now, let me remove this so we can see to what I refer. I started this job by carefully measuring around the inside of the tube to find the center point opposite the focuser, and it turns out it is bang in line with these drilled holes, so that is good. That can save you some time if you're working with the same sinter made scope. So I know that that is the line down the center. I just need now to get the correct distance for the center of this back and mark in there where the center of that focuser should line up to. What do I have? I don't know how I'm going to do this. I was kind of hoping that I might be able to get a square on this. kind of can, just using the edges of it. I'm going to make some pencil marks in here and check it the opposite way around and see how that looks, because I never trust a square to be square. This type is going to be square, but set squares not necessarily. So I'm going down from the center of these bolt holes here, and that is still the same straight line there. So that is a square line running in. I now need that measurement to the center of that hole. How am I going to do this? So with my measuring device, my vernier calipers, I'm going down that same center line and making sure this is as big as it can get. 94.55 it should, but doesn't work out the other way around. I can get it up to 94.64, so I'll take that to be the widest point. Now this measurement 41.77. So on my trusted notebook, 41.77, and I've forgotten what that was now. 90 something 0.64. 94.64 it was. So we need half of that 94.64 to get this point. That's 45, 46, 47.32 plus the 41.77 here is 88, 89.09, 89.1 say. 89.1 millimeters. I'm going to set this to 89.1 millimeters. 89.08, that'll do. And I'm going to use this to measure inward along that pencil line I just made, which is not where I was looking. That's it. Now I have a cross marked, but I don't like it. I'm going to do it again. I forgot. I brought these out, little stick-on address labels to make this better. So basically start over. I know this worked both ways around, so as long as that's sitting flush on both faces, I'm going to get my line there, iron down those two holes. It looks bang central, that's good. And then I can do this measured again, 89.08. And I hope the camera can see that target in there. As I said, this is all ready. This open end is where the rack and pinion side goes, and therefore the focuser knobs, and that's how the original was. So I'm doing it this way around. Actually, yeah, no, never mind. I have a little washer on the end of these bolts. These bolts, by the way, come from one of these Amazon sets of, that's an 860 piece set, so there's a good selection to choose from. I'm going to put one there and one in the opposite corner to start me off. There's one, and the other is going to be tight. There it is. You see, this isn't sitting flat to the tube. I'm going to have to stick that down at a later date, or cut it back. I don't really want to cut it back though. I'll stick it down. Anyway, nut and washer on each of these now, just to hold them captive. And then the other two. I could have drilled the holes a tad bigger to make this easier, but I didn't, so I shall struggle. With the wrong size tools, wrong size. I'm down an Allen key. I've left it inside. Oh, there it is. I thought that wasn't lining up then. Just putting the bolts on the back. And I'm just nipping it down. I'm not tightening as yet. Just so I can see it pulling against the tube. It's going to be enough for me for now. I'm just holding the nuts on the back with my fingers, by the way, no pliers in there. That'll get it tight enough for now. And I am pulling down pretty well. Just not enough to sort of deform the tube and pull that out. Okay, we're back on the mount, and I'm looking to see if I can hit that cross with a laser. But I just want to point out this thing, it's not my creation, it's something I 3D printed. I found it on Thingiverse, I'll put a link down below. It is a self-centering 2" to 1.25" adapter. And there's little springy things all around that basically hold anything 1.25" in the center. So I'm going to use that in the focuser. And let's see what happens. Turn it on. That's faint, I need a new battery. Let's just check by pivoting this around. It mostly stays in the same spot, which is just slightly off the cross. I've just brought this in closer, and I'm hoping if I shield a bit of light, you can see where that red dot sits, and it's just off that central cross. Eyeing down this way, it does look like it is slightly off center rather than my cross being off center. So now all I need to do is try and adjust watch what happens first of all. If I can continue shading that. Sorry, my hand keeps coming into view there. And with my other hand, I turn this. I can get it closer to the center, but that's cheating. It's generally down a little. I'm turning the laser around within the focus tube. I will have to recheck the collimation of this laser. So let's leave it there and just switch it off for now. I'm going to find out what these little bolts do and how to check that for alignment. I just discovered something I never noticed before, but I was just wondering before going in and checking on the alignment thing whether it just takes a little bit of twist on that to sort of settle the tube where it needs to be. And as I did so, I came to realise that this whole part rocks on the base. And as it sits back down, it sits back down exactly where it needs to be. So these little grub screws in here aren't tight. I need to get in and tighten those up. Now it's back where it should be. And we're sorted. That is aligned and it's looking right at the little cross there. I did remeasure that cross. I went and got the center distance of the focuser itself, added it to this, and basically transferred that down to there. So my initial pencil line was a little bit off. And I put a little scratch there. I don't know if the camera's even going to pick that up. Ah, blurred it. Now you're not able to pick that up, but that dot is right on the little scratch I made with the calipers next to the pencil line. So yes, that is perfectly lined up. I think I will need the tiniest of tiny little Allen keys to tighten down on this now. Oh yeah, there's quite a bit of play in there. Don't know if I'll get to that one. Come on, back out. Quite a lot of play. Now it doesn't move. Back on the X marks the spot. Back on it perfectly. I am now happy that stage one of the whole collimation thing is going to be successful. Now I need to install this at another stage with the secondary mirror attached and get that exactly central to the focuser, and then we can go for the back end. But stage one complete. I am happy with that, and this is a beautiful focuser. The tender one is really slow. And of course I'm going to have this motorized. I already kind of invented and printed a bracket to hold the motor on and drive this. I don't know whether I'll go with that or change it. I haven't got a clue. We shall see. But sorted. One upgraded focuser. That's going to be great. And a little reminder of what that has replaced. I can hear it rattling. I just hear the subtle tackiness of a bit of grease in this one, whereas that sounds like a toy. So yes, lots of backlash in this one. I did try autofocusing with this. Nowhere near. Right. So anyone interested in a nice 2 1/4 inch focuser? Didn't think so. I wonder if I can use it elsewhere for something. Now, profile. This is quite far in by comparison, and it doesn't go all the way out, so I'm already too close for prime focus with my DSLR. But with this, if I just slacken this bolt off, it has an internal extension, so I can set that where I like, and then gives us that range. Yes, I am chuffed. So that's stage 1 done and dusted. There's plenty more to do. Now, so there's vinyl wrap, treat the inside, blacken it out as best I can for better contrast. Then the spider goes in, aligning the secondary to be bang in the centre of the focuser, and then the primary can go back in, and hopefully we can do a proper collimation on a nice looking scope. Doesn't sound like much, but it's going to take me a little while yet. I've been working basically, and although I'm having weekends off, I like my sleep as well. So I've been tending to sit on my arse a lot and not do things. I forced myself this weekend to do this focuser anyway. So I shall do bit by bit and get these videos out as and when they come. That's all I can promise you. By the way, I don't think I ever pointed this out. In the interest of losing weight, I did this very early on. I put speed holes in my tube rings.
Hey, what are all these holes?
These are speed holes to make the car go faster.
Oh yeah, speed holes.
I basically put it in a pillar drill and drilled through just to save however many grams I saved. Not a clue. Whoop. Lock it down. But that's nice. That's a good fit. All light proof. That'll stick down nicely in the final fit. Chuffed to beans. No, I'm not going to take that off yet. I'll use it again when I do the final fit. So, might I recommend, if you haven't done already, click that subscribe button down the bottom and you can see the rest of the transformation of this. Nice free way to support myself and the channel is just to click that little thumb icon, thumbs up, like the video, please. YouTube does not know if it's worthwhile content if you don't do that, and if not, it assumes not and doesn't push my video to a wider audience. That's all it's about. So you don't have to actually like it, just in support of me and the channel, please drop a like. It really helps, and it's free. Any questions, comments on this, drop them down below. All comments, just like likes, really help get this content out to others. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time. I hope it won't be too long.